warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today I'm going to present my assignment one work of the subject of how can differentiate databases or observational databases or NoSQL databases can assist us in fighting pandemics such as the coronavirus. As of late, a huge amount of data has been generated in a very increasing amount. And as data is generated more often and we have tools to generate these data more often, the more this data becomes crucial and important for us. But first of all, how can we utilize these data and benefit from it? So the challenge resides first of all of how can we store it in the our desired format in order to benefit from these data in utilizing it in different technologies or in fighting pandemics such as the coronavirus pandemic. So we need the databases in order to store any kind of data, but here the main question is what type of databases. So you can either store data in a structured format or well-defined schema, or you can store it in a flexible format for different manner. So both these technologies have their positive and negatives, but in our case here, we're going to focus more on NoSQL data and how it benefits us in storing information about pandemics or diseases and fighting it, particularly the coronavirus disease. So the first type of data is structured data, which is used with relational databases. We use structured query language in order to query the structured data and access and store it. So any structured data is stored according to a predefined schema. So before we insert any type of structured data, we must first of all ensure different type of constraints regarding its type, size, and also if there is any relation with another entities, and how can different type of data and entities relate to each other. There is also high assurance of consistency since it follows specified rules before inserting it. And there is also high regard of integrity and accuracy. And there are the major points of structured data or SQL is to ensure the consistency, integrity, and accuracy of each stored information. However, the performance level is very low. So first, for instance, if we have huge amount of data and we want to retrieve it, this can take time since it involves numerous amount of joint and it also involves numerous amount of constraints and indexing. So the result of its performance is often slow compared to different type of databases. And there is also low flexibility since the schema enforces certain rules before we insert any type of data. So on the other hand of the unstructured data, we have not only SQL to handle the type of data. So for instance, in NoSQL, the data is stored in any type of format. It can be documents, JSON, JSON, columns, and key value pairs, or any other type of data. The focus here is high performance. So due that the schema is flexible or there is not a specified schema sometimes, then the performance is very high since it does not involve any rules beforehand. So retrieving the data is very fast. And there is also it can handle very different type of data and complex data such as binary data in form of images, audio, or videos, and it involves very few relationships. So for example, if we have a JSON format, it involves very few relationship inside it or none. And there is also low integrity of data since it does not follow a predefined schema, and consistency sometimes can be varied since if we have a flexible schema, sometimes different type of data might be inserted. As of the last 2 months, there is a spark of a new pandemic occurring in the population, which is the coronavirus pandemic. The COVID-19 virus was originated in a very fast instant, which is spread across the entire population in very few months. it spurred the fear and death of many hundreds of thousands of people. So this pandemic was originally spread from China into the globe in very few months, making it a global pandemic. So in our case here, how can we use technology in order to tackle this pandemic? In my case, I'm going to discuss three major technologies that will help us and how can we use databases in combating the coronavirus. So first of all, research datasets and AI face recognition, and lastly, geographical interactive maps or geomaps. So these are the three main technologies or types of technologies that we're going to discuss about it and how can we use it with NoSQL databases in combating the virus. First of all, research datasets. As of March 2020, there was a dataset that was originated from open source dataset. The dataset was published of more than 29,000 scientific articles. So these datasets were originated from the open research dataset. These articles were in nature not structured since they are articles. So the goal here is that how can we utilize these articles in order to compile it and aggregate a beneficial data set and finding a root cause, for instance, or finding a solution for this pandemic. So in this case, since it involves numerous amount of data and the data is not structured, not only SQL or NoSQL can be perfectly suited to store the nature of these articles, yet it's unstructured format. So after we store or aggregate these data, these can be fed into technologies such as AI or machine learning or different types of technologies in order to allow us to find new solutions or to find any interesting patterns. The, the second type of technology is artificial intelligence and face recognition. So Chinese officials have deployed various type of AI systems which does not involve any contact to detect individuals with high body temperature. They're used across multiple offices and agencies in order to detect any individuals or suspected individuals, outliers with high body temperature. They also used facial recognition surveillance camera across the streets, markets, or a different type of places to detect any individuals with no masks. So this can invoke the privacy of the Chinese population, but it's also a very impressive uses of technologies and utilization. So think about the millions and hundreds of millions of people in China. Uh, this the AI and surveillance camera generate a huge amount of data or cumulative data which cannot be in form of an SQL. So hence the NoSQL databases can be utilized in these instances to store the artificial intelligence generated data or the facial recognition generated data in order to help us or benefit the pandemic and finding symptoms very fast. So the third type of technology is geographical interactive maps or geomaps. There is a post proposed by a Reddit user in our coronavirus to make a geomaps similar to John Hopkins global case map, which report every instance of the infection of across the entire population in every country and the number of deaths, number of people who are infected, and the number of people who are still treating from the coronavirus. So the idea here is that instead of generating a interactive map of just a report, why not make it interactive so that every individual can add the reported coronavirus symptoms in order to make the virus less infections and attended to uh, more quickly. So the aggregated data then can be resulted of millions of reported cases or more than millions. So SQL in this case is infeasible. The perfect use is that we use not only SQL databases in order to store every reported individuals and aggregate it in a non-structured form. conclusion, we have discussed the unstructured data type and how it's generated from basically every new technology, just like AI, maps, images, videos, and audios, and facial recognition, and so on. The goal here is how can we utilize different types of technology, or in our case, not only SQL databases, in order to store the database in an effective or beneficial manner, and uh, use it in order to combat worldwide pandemics such as the coronavirus. Uh, in the end, the goal of technology here is assisting us. How can we make our life easier and also assist us in fighting dilemmas and major problems in a very effective manner? Thank you for listening.